Welcome. This is Pastor Errol Williams here once again for another Thursday night tip. My focus tonight is on the top 10 financial tips. I want to say welcome to you and to your family. If you're watching this for the first time, welcome. This is Pastor Errol Williams, and I've been around now for, I would say, around 11 years doing online Bible studies on a Monday and the personal development tips on a Thursday. So I'm excited to have the opportunity to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, whether you're watching live or you're watching the pre-recording. We will get started in 10 minutes. Our focus is from 9:30 until 10:30, so we don't have any time to waste. We have so many things that we want to share with you tonight on the top 10 financial tips that could change your life for the better. So we will get started in just a minute and a half time. Just want to make sure that everything is running smoothly and that when we get started, there is no challenges with the sound or as well with the pictures. So I want to say welcome and thank you for joining me tonight. Excellent. Well, I'm excited once again to have the opportunity to be here. We were here last week, Thursday. We were here on Monday as well. And we've got another topic for you, which is the top 10 financial tips. I have some PowerPoint slides that I would like to share with you. So please go ahead and put any comments that you may have in the chat room, or you can put those on a text and send me a text. That's if you know my mobile number. So let me put my mobile number out for you. I think that would... I don't think I have it here, so I will give it to you now, and you may want to make a note of it. 07956 872141. 07956 872141. 30 seconds time, we will get started with the show. I want to say welcome to everyone, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's a pleasure to have you with me tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. Just before then we get started, I want to share with you some amazing things that you may want to make note of. And first of all, I'd like to share with you our radio show, our gospel radio, online internet radio. So we will play some beautiful some gospel music, and also certain things that goes on there. So you may want to take a note of that URL. It's gospelradio.me, gospelradio.me, and look forward to seeing you over there. Also want to invite you to an event that we have in the local church. It's called the Power of Praise, an evening with Sade Johnson. Now, Power of Praise was designed specifically for people who have written their own songs and will sing those songs on the night. So that's the Power of Praise. So she will be ministering the songs that she has written live, and it will also be streamed as well. So if you can't make it, you can watch the stream. We also have a baptism going on in our local church on the 16th of February. So we're looking forward to that. We're preparing for that. And if you're interested, come on down. It's at 197 Eden Road, and that's the 16th of February, 6:30 to 8:30 on a Sunday evening. And final notice I want to give to all the ladies out there, all the women, and we have our corporate ladies retreat. It goes on every year. A minimum of 250 women are there in attendance, and so we have more space this year. We have increased it to around 400 space because there are always women who want to come and can't come because they either booked late or made a late decision and they're unable to come because normally it's full in a very short time. So here's the website to do your booking right away, crgop.org.uk. So take a note of that website and go ahead and make your booking. All right. Let's get going then, and our focus tonight is on the top 10 financial tips. I want to say welcome to Raymond. Welcome, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Fuzu, welcome. Thank you, Sister Pat Nape and Pastor Pat and Lucas, Brother Lucas, Minister Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you guys being here tonight with me. All right, then let's get going then. The time is short, as you know, and I want to share with you some things. But before I do so, those of you who don't know who I am, just a slide just to introduce myself. I'm Pastor Errol Williams. If you want to find out more about me specifically, you can go to my website, which is errolwilliams.org. You can find a lot more information at that location. Author of 5 books, has spent a number of years in leadership experiences and management training around the country and certain parts of the world, counseling and running training courses, and also been involved in a multi-million-pound organization, which we started from the beginning, and we completed it with His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, launching it in 1988. So I've been around a little bit, and I've been able to do some exciting things with some exciting people. I want to remind those of you who would like to support the ministry or would like to support what we are doing. You can go to www.bit.ly/COGOP23 and you can support the ministry that way. And we'll be delighted to get your support. Or you want to call me on my mobile number, there's a number. And you can call me on 079568724141. And email me. I've got that email address there, errol@cogop.com, as well as the websites that you can go to and find out more information. All right, let's get going then. I want to share with you, I call it top 10 financial tips. Well, within the next 40 minutes or 45 minutes or so, I will share with you around 50 tips. That's the reality, but I want you to choose your 10. Are you following me? I want you to choose your 10. So that's why I call it top 10 financial tips. It's a lot more than 10, but I want you to choose your 10 financial tips. And if you have any questions, I'm not a financial expert, by the way. I don't work in financial market every day of my life. I've just picked up some tips along the way that I would like to share with you. And I would love for you, first of all, to check these things out and see whether or not you find them useful or not. All right, let's get started then. My heading for this one is what I call values and vision. You want to make sure you establish your values and also your visions for your financial future. And here are some points that I've put out. These are the tips. Do not compromise your integrity. So in terms of your values are defined as the thing that's of most importance to you. So, for example, if you are a person that will never tell a lie, then you will never get involved in anything that violates or compromise that. So do not compromise your integrity. Set clear values and visions for your financial freedom. So decide what your values are and make sure you set financial goals, okay? And you want to get to the point of financial freedom. I also say here, think and talk positively, because oftentimes I hear people say, well, I will never have money. Well, that's a negative, confession. So you want to speak positive things into your life and don't talk about money in a negative way, but think about it in a positive way. For example, never ever say that. I got this from a millionaire some years ago, and he said, never ever say you're broke. Never ever say you're broke. Just say something like, I have a cash flow problem, or I have a cash flow situation. In other words, the cash is not flowing, through your account the way you'd like it to do. Never ever say you're broke. Don't confess those things, but speak of it positively. You must always prepare for your growing age. You're not getting younger, right? You're getting older. So it's very, very important that you prepare for your growing age. You're getting older. So prepare for the future. Only a few fools does not prepare for their growing age. And it makes sense to prepare for your future. Now, there is a proverbial statement that says, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So this is a proverbial statement. And I think that you should prepare and leave something for future generation. Now, what I have done basically is that I've written 5 books. I know that these 5 books will make a lot of money at some point. And so I'm leaving those books to my children and my children's children. This is something that they can take and use for their future. I'm just using that as an example. And I will come back to another point relating to those books in a moment. But my first area that I wanted to focus on was values and visions. You need to make absolutely certain that you do not compromise your values. You do not compromise your integrity. Does that make sense? Integrity is very, very important. And make sure you set clear goals for your financial future. So, for example, in 2020, how much money would you like to make? Okay, you're making £1,000 a month at the moment. How much would you like to make per month? Being realistic, maybe you might say, well, I'd like to increase that to maybe a 5% increase. So you set that as your target, your goal for 2020. So it's very important that you have a goal, you have a target, you have something to aim at as to what you'd like to achieve. Notice what Proverbs say again, Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish, right? So people who do not have goals in life end up struggling and suffering as a result of that. So bear that in mind. Values and visions. Make sure you follow those 6 tips that I've put there. I hope that makes sense. All right, let's move on to another thing. And this is one of my favorite area, by the way, in terms of financial tips. And this is one that most people overlook. And it is invest in yourself every day. Invest in yourself. You should always be growing. You should always be growing. You should always be developing yourself. So develop your ASK, your attitude, your skills, and your knowledge. Now, every job on the planet are based around attitude, skills, and knowledge. Attitude as to how you treat yourself, how you deal with other people. Skill as to know how to do the job, and knowledge as to what the job is all about. So the more you develop your attitude, skills, and knowledge, the more money you make, the more confident you become, the more powerful you become, and the more people want to be around you. All right. Now, notice this. If your attitude stinks, nobody wants to live with you, work with you, play with you, or go to church or the mosque with you. Nobody wants to be around you. All right. If your attitude is not the way it should be. So, therefore, develop your attitude, skills, and knowledge. Study the artistic mastery of others and use them. Study other people. So, for example, what is it that you'd like to do? What skill would you like to have? Well, find out who is the most skillful person in the world and follow them. The exciting thing that we have today is the internet, and the internet allows the world to come very close to us so that we can actually see what other people are doing and we can follow them. Isn't that wonderful? You can follow them on Twitter, you can follow them on Facebook, you can follow them on YouTube, you can follow them in so many different ways, and people are waiting for other people to follow them so that they can share with you their skills and how they got to where they are. So you want to study the artistic mastery of others and use them. Always remember that the largest room in the world is a room for improvement. So never ever get to the point where you think, well, I know it all, there's no more for me to learn. I can't excel further than this. No. That's foolish thinking. That is defeatism. Always remember the largest room in the world is the room for improvement. Seek the advice of those whose daily work is handling money. As I said, my daily work is not handling money. So you may not want to just take my word for it. You want to actually seek out other advice. So if you go into investment as an example, you want to seek the advice of people whose daily activity is handling money. So you don't want to, for example, go to a bricklayer or a plasterer or a car mechanic to invest for you. That would not be wisdom. So I strongly recommend that you seek the advice of those whose daily work is handling money, and always become financially literate. Most people are not financially literate. Now, notice this: to have lots and lots of money and be able to manage it well, you need to be financially literate. So you need to study money. A lot of people don't realize this. There are certain things about money that the rich know that the poor doesn't know. Poor people oftentimes don't think they need to understand how money circle and how money work, but it's very important to become financially literate. I remember giving this advice to some individual long ago who wanted to go into the financial market, and I said to them, start reading the Financial Times, those newspapers that deals with finance, stocks and bonds and shares and mutual funds and so on. Not just look at the Sun and the Daily Mail and so on, but get into things that will jog your mind, that would encourage you and really cause you to increase in the financial institutions. So I strongly recommend this particular tip, that if you want to become financially free, invest in yourself every day. The more you grow, the more your finances grow. Let me say this, your knowledge, listen to this carefully, your growth is attached to your earnings. I want to say this at this juncture. I didn't have this in my notes. No one pays per hour. That's a myth, all right? No one pays you per hour. They say that, but it's not really true. You don't get paid per hour. Let me explain what you get paid for. You get paid for what value you bring to the marketplace. Let me say it again. You get paid for what value you bring to the marketplace. And that's a significant point that you must never, ever forget. How valuable are you? I know you're valuable to your family. I know you're valuable to your church, but are you valuable to the marketplace? You see, in the marketplace, some people get paid a certain amount per hour. Some get paid £10 per hour. Some gets 20. Some gets 50. One guy gets millions of pounds a year. Why? Because of the value that he brings or she brings to the marketplace. So make sure you're investing in yourself every day. Every day. Every day. Are you with me? How many books are you reading? How many tapes are you listening to? How many videos are you watching? How many conferences do you attend? The more you increase your attitude, skills, and knowledge, the more value you bring to the marketplace and the more you'll be able to take from the marketplace. That is a significant point. All right, let me move on then to another point. Save, be fruitful, and multiply. This is a very, very important point. Pay yourself at least 10% of what you earn. Now, this one tip alone, just this one tip alone, is worth more than £10,000. That's the value I put on this one tip. This one tip alone is worth more than £10,000. Most people, they pay their rent, and so therefore they're working for the bank or they're working for the landlord. They pay for their their tithe, so they're working for the church. They pay their utility bills, so they're working for the utility companies. They pay their taxes, so they're working for the government, but they never ever think to pay themselves. So remember always to pay yourself. Whatever you earn, put aside 10% for you. Now, listen to this carefully. That 10% is not for a rainy day. That 10% is not for your holiday. That 10% is not for an emergency. That 10% is for your growing age and for your children's children. It's for your future. It's your pension. Always put aside 10% of what you earn for your future. If you don't do so, then you're not being very wise. I strongly recommend that you do so. Be consistent and remember that saving is not investing. Investment is different to saving. Saving is saving. And you lose money when you save, by the way, because it doesn't grow at the rate of inflation. Whereas in investment, you're investing in something, whether it be stocks or shares or bonds or mutual funds, etc. Now, always remember, the higher the investment, the greater the risk. All right. So you want to be very, very careful and make sure you take good advice before you go into investment of that kind. Do not slave for money. I always remember this principle. Let your money slave for you. This is a key principle that you want to make absolutely certain that you do not forget. Don't slave for money. Let money work for you. You know, if you put the money somewhere, for example, if you got a two house, for example, and you're renting out one, you're allowing your money to work for you. Does that make sense? Whereby it's important that you do it that way rather than you slave for money. Let money work for you. For example, when we go to work in a 9 to 5 job, it's more like slaving for money. Does it? Are you with me? Whereas if you had residual income now, and I'll speak about that shortly. In fact, I'm coming up to that now in a moment. When you have residual income, it's money working for you, and I'll explain that in a moment. Sacrifice to invest in things that go up in value. Now, if I gave you £10,000 and you bought a car for £10,000, the value will go down. You're not investing in things that go up in value. You're investing in something that is decreasing in value. Does that make sense? So you want to think about, how do I invest in things that go up in value? And that's a very important factor. Look for ways to invest as to produce residual income and do it wisely. Now, what is residual income? Now, this. If you have never heard this before, then this is going to be very useful for you. Residual income is where you do a job once and you get paid for it over and over and over, even when you die. Take Michael Jackson, for example. He wrote and sung Thriller. Now, even though he has died, he did it once, right? He did that tune once, and it's just keep on bringing in income. So his children will benefit from it, and his children's children will benefit from it, and his children's children's children will benefit from it. It's just like these books that I've written. I've written 5 books so far, and I've only done it once. I only wrote the book once, and therefore the book is just constantly bringing in revenues, bringing in royalties. Okay, every time a book is sold, I get royalties for it. Isn't that fantastic? That's an awesome way of actually doing it. So I strongly recommend that you consider residual income. Residual income. How can I do a job once and get paid for it? It's the mentality of letting the money work for you rather than slaving for money. Yes, at times we have to slave for money, but your goal should be, how do I get my money to work for me? So for example, let's say you're working in McDonald's, for example, you're taking in £1,000 a month. So you're going to put aside 10%, not for a rainy day and not for some holiday or resources and so on. You're going to do it for your old age. So you're putting aside £100 every month. And you're going to take that £100, the 10% of your 1,000, and you're going to invest it in things that go up in value. And you're looking for residual income. How can I let this money work for me? Are you following me? You see how that works? And over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you'll be amazed at how your money is increasing on that side that can replace the slaving that you're doing for money right now. And I think that's an awesome way of thinking and looking forward to going. So save, be fruitful, and multiply. You want to multiply that. Pay yourself. Be consistent. And remember that saving is not investing. Do not slave for money. Now, I remember sharing this tip many, many years ago with a church. And years passed, and I met a young lady. And she came to me and she says, Errol, you don't remember me, do you? And I says, no, I don't. Where do I know you from? She said, you came to our local church 1 year in January to motivate us. And you spoke about paying yourself at least 10% of what you earn. I want you to know that my bank account is fat, she said to me. She didn't tell me how much was in it. She said it was fat. And she said this, when her father found out what she was doing, even her father was putting money into her account. You see how money attracts money? These are principles that the rich know, that the poor don't know. These are principles that the rich take advantage of, that the poor don't. This is why I say you got to become financially literate. I hope that makes sense. Welcome, Clive, and thank you so much for joining us. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me move on then. Now, control and manage your expenditure. Now, this is something that most people don't do very well. Never spend more than you earn. This is a tip that you should never, ever pass upon. Never spend more than you earn. It's a mistake to spend more than you earn. I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing to do. And a lot of people are doing that. They're doing that in the church. They're doing that in their own families. They're doing that in their business. They're spending more than they earn. You're gonna go into debt. That's just the reality. All right. Keep up to date records of your spending and check your receipts. Always check your receipts. This is a thing that I have discovered. Checking my receipts, checking your bank statements, because human beings make mistakes, and some people make purposeful mistakes, and so on. So you want to make sure you check everything. Check and check and check. Always, my three rule here is check, check, check. Shop for value and buy wholesale where necessary, where possible. Think wholesale. Now, when you save the money, save the money. I hope you understand that principle. When you save the money through wholesale, save the money. Don't go and find something else to spend it on. When you save money, save the money. Buy with cash, so as to say discipline. Now, what I mean by cash, again, is the same point about do not spend more than you earn. All right. So it's very, very important that you bear that in mind, because this principle will save you stress. He will give you a very peaceful life. Delay your gratifications as much as possible. You don't have to have that thing. You don't have to have that dress. You don't have to have that suit. Well, it's going to put you into lots of problems. So be very wise and be very, very careful about how you go about controlling and managing your expenditure. But never, ever, 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 ever spend more than you earn. You will sleep well at night. Trust me on that. You will sleep very well at night. All right, let me move on to another point. I hope you are making some connection with some tips that could be of benefit to you. Overprotect, and I really mean this. Overprotect and guard against destruction. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. All right, never lose money. That's rule number 1. And rule number 2 is never forget rule number 1. So you should never ever lose money. Try your best to remember that. Be careful not to co-sign a loan for anyone. Now, if you decide to co-sign a loan for someone, it's entirely up to you. But I say be careful. Yeah. Now listen to this carefully. I made a decision many years ago, and I have a policy that I live by, and I still live by it today. I will never ever co-sign a loan for anyone except my mother and my wife. Now my mother has passed away, so I have only got my wife left. And my son came to me once and he says, "Dad, could you co-sign this loan for me? I want to buy a motorbike." And I said, "Son, let me explain. I love you lots, but I do not co-sign loans. It's my policy for anybody." I remember a sister once telling me that she co-signed a loan for her friend, and they were best of friends. And they lost their friendship, stopped talking to each other because of the implication and complication that ensued because of that. So I never co-sign a loan for anyone unless it's my wife, and it's up to you if you do choose to do it, but be careful about it. Assume the worst. When you talk about finances and you're going into any form of financial planning or financial investment or savings or whatever, assume the worst and plan for it. You must always have your contingencies, all right? Never put all your eggs into one basket. That's very, very foolish. If you put all your eggs in one basket and then that basket disappears, then you're left home and dry, right? So you want to make absolutely certain that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Be aware of partnership, going into partnership with other people. Most partnership never work. People fall out. One is doing more work than the other one, and so on and so forth. Some partnerships do work, and it works very, very well, but most do not work. So all I'm saying here is be aware of it. Always make sure you have a get out clause in the partnership. If you're going into a partnership in business with somebody, always make sure there's a get out clause. How do I get out of this if I need to? You must have a will and adequate liability insurance. Always make sure. One guy said that when he dies, he wanted, he said he has, how does it go now? He says when he dies, he wants it to be a real tragedy. So therefore, he has no will and no liability insurance because he wants when he died to be a real tragedy. That's really pretty sad, especially if he's a father that's going to leave his children and there's no will, there's no adequate liability insurance, there's no money left to bury him, and so on and so forth. So make sure you have a will and liability insurance. It doesn't take a lot to do a will. And I strongly recommend, however, before you do those things, is to make sure you get advice from people whose business it is to do will every day and, liability insurance every day. So take advice from those people. Always make sure. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm not qualified to do so. I'm just giving you some tips, but do your own research and make absolutely certain that you go to the proper financial advisors to actually get the right information. But always overprotect and guard against destruction. Remember, rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. All right. I hope that is important to you. And never put all your eggs in one basket. It's just that it's not wise to do so. Diversify your money. Now, this is a tip, which is an amazing financial tip, personally, and it is share what you have with others. Share with others. The secret of living is giving. Jesus himself said it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. So I strongly recommend that you get into the business of giving. Always pay your tithe and give your offering. That's if you're a church person, really. If you're a church person, I strongly recommend that you give your tithe and support your charity. Then support that. Now, a lot of people don't believe in tithing. I do. I believe in tithing. I have been tithing now for 35 years. And I love doing that. I love supporting my church. I love supporting the organization that I'm in, and the charity that I'm in. I love to do it. I do it joyfully and gladly. I do that. Help others to become heroes, and they will help you in turn. This is a key principle, actually. A lot of people don't look at it as a key principle in financial terms, but if you help other people achieve their successes, they will in turn help you. I found that to be true along the way. I've helped so many people, and so many people want to help me. There are people who say to me, Errol, I owe you a debt. You don't owe me nothing. And they say, I owe you a debt. You can cash it in whenever you're ready. Well, to God be the glory. My job is really just to help people. Give and it shall be given unto you. Good measures, pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall men give into your bosom, says the Lord Jesus Christ. So I strongly recommend that when you think about your financial future, think about giving. Let me share something with you that I learned from Mr. Hilton. Mr. Hilton is the founder and owner of the Hilton Hotels. I was watching a documentary many years ago about him. And he said this: there are 3 values that he has in life, 3 goals, 3 values that he has. Value number 1 is to make as much money as possible. Value number 2 is to give away as much money as possible. And value number 3 is to enjoy myself as much as possible. I think that's quite a very, very good financial principle. Make as much money as you can, give away as much money as you can, and enjoy as much as you can. And so he actually said on that documentary that he has a party every evening. I don't know if that's quite true, but that's what I heard. So I strongly recommend that you, when you think about finances and you think about your goal, think about sharing, think about giving, think about supporting others. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So the secret of living is giving. It's more blessed to give than it is to receive. Now, you're going to love this one. Now, listen to this very, very carefully, okay? You should think enterprising. Think about running your own business. Always bear in mind, listen to this carefully, that you are a business. Let me say this again. Whether you work for yourself or whether you work for a large company, and that's all you do is work for a large company, you're still a business. There are only four things that businesses do. Four functions of a business. Let me see if I can make a note of this and share this with you. There are only four things that businesses do, and I want to share those with you. All right. Now, number one, these are the four functions of a business. They manage. M is for manage people. They manage people. They manage their staff. All right. Number two is manage activities. Whatever activities that go on in the organization, they manage that, right? The next one is manage information. Okay? All the telephone calls and the information that comes in, letters, emails, whatever. Next one is managing resources. So they're managing finances. Now, just to give you a quick tip as to how I remembered it so quickly, if you look down here, it's PAIR. Okay, that's how I remember it so quickly, right? So managing people, staff, managing activities, all the activities, the cleaning, the departments, the catering, you name it, they do it, right? They manage activities, information I mentioned before, and resources. Now, if you live by yourself, you're absolutely doing the same thing. You're managing people. Who's that person? You're managing yourself, right? And if you got children, you're managing your children and grandchildren if you have those, and so on. You're managing activities as well. You're going to funerals, you got to manage weddings and baby dedications and parties and the house, the cleaning, the security of your house, and the cleaning, the cooking, all those are activities, right? So you're managing that. You're managing information as well. Emails that's coming into you, telephone calls, mobiles, the whole works, okay? Yeah, you're managing those information. And you're also managing resources, finances. The only difference between you living by yourself, the only difference between you and, say, McDonald's, the only one difference between you, both of you, is size. That is the only difference. McDonald's is managing more staff, more activities, more information, and more money, more resources than you. But you are managing, listen to this carefully, you are managing a business. So you must think about business. And this is why I want to say, mind your own business. All right? Now, when you go to work, right? Listen to this carefully. When you go to work, what are you selling? You're selling your knowledge. You're selling your skills. You're even selling your attitude. Remember what I said before? You're selling your ASK. You're selling your attitude. You're selling your skills. You're selling your knowledge. And they're paying you for that. You are a business. You're actually selling them something. You're selling them you. You're selling them your skills. You're selling them your knowledge. You're selling them your attitude. And they are, in turn, paying you for it. Mind your own business. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Mind your own business. Prepare a business plan. A business plan is not complicated. Let me just give you a classic example of a business plan. Now, this is just coming straight from my head. You need to look at the why, the what, the where, the when, the who, the resources, the risk. Are you with me? The resources, the risk, rewarding other people, and so on. It's not very, very difficult. This is your why. Why are you doing it? Which is your vision, the what, the where, the who, the when, the resources, the risks, and also the review, reward people, and final one, the how. That's it. That's how you put together a business plan with those principles. Very, very simple, right? So make sure you make sure you prepare yourself a plan, because if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail, right? Let me go back to that. You may want to take a picture of that with your phone. If you have your phone, go ahead and just take a picture of that. It's called a 5W, and 4Rs. That's really what it's called. That's what I call it. The 5W, and 4R. All right. Now, as I said before, you want to make absolutely certain that you mind your own business. Make sure you have a plan. Make work your best friend. Now, I love what Jim Rohn says. Work more on yourself than you do your job. Work more on yourself. In other words, invest in yourself, develop yourself. Make work your best friend. Love work. You may never become wealthy working for somebody else. Now, let me tell you who said this. It's John Paul Getty, who was at the time an oil tycoon, the richest man at his time. He said, you may never become wealthy working for others. And that is so true. 99.9% of us will never become wealthy working for others. So you must always think about your own business. You must always think about that you're working for yourself, and that you need to make absolutely certain that you invest in yourself, and so on. T.D. Jakes said it this way. You must always have, let me go back here. You must always have, and I think T.D. Jakes is absolutely correct. This is you. Okay, this is you. And T.D. Jakes says you must always have a minimum of 4 streams of income. So for example, you're working right now. So that's one aspect of income. Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you do a song. You're a songwriter and a song singer, and maybe on Saturday you clean shoes. Clean is no, that's not how you spell it. Clean. CLEAN. Clean shoe. Maybe you clean shoe at the train station. I'm just using that as an example. So T.D. Jakes says you must have a minimum of 4 streams of income. This is your business you're talking about. And I'm giving you some amazing tips tonight. I hope when you guys make your millions, you will send them through to me, and I could use that to help other people. Now, that's a beautiful tip. Thank you, T.D. Jenks. So you want to make your own, mind your own business, okay? Those 4 streams of income, that we're talking about is your own business, right? Okay. Have a plan. Make work your best friend. You may never become wealthy working for others. So have fun and enjoy yourself. This is the key. Oh man, I love that point. Have fun. Have fun. Have fun. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that one. Have fun and enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. So remember, be enterprising. Be enterprising. Run your own business. It's your own business. Take care of your own business, and all will be well. Hey, Winsome, how you doing? Welcome and thank you so much, all the way from the United States of, is it America or Canada? You're in Canada. I can't remember where. Oh, it's America. It's America. You're in America. You're in America. I think you're in Miami. I think so. I cannot remember. I think you are. All right. Let me move on then. I want to share with you some types of investment, and you may have heard of these. You got stocks and bonds and mutual funds and shares and so on. Now, somebody once says your home may be the largest investment you will make during your lifetime. Most people, their home will be the largest investment that they will ever make in terms of the purchase of their home. And that's a great investment, by the way, because it's better than nothing. So if you get involved in stocks and bonds and mutual funds and shares, remember what I said before. Seek advice from top professional, and always get second opinion before you go in. You might put in thousands of pounds into a particular venture and find you lose your money. So take sound advice and make sure you get it in writing. Let me make this principle before I go. The principle is this: if it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. That was told to me by a financial expert. He's an auditor and he knows what he's saying. And he says to us in the meeting, If it's not in writing, it just doesn't exist. And I think that's a very, very powerful principle for us to bear in mind. Now, just my last few slides. Shop around. Compare products and fees of various banks, financial planners, brokers, and investment houses. Shop around. Always shop around. Ask lots of questions. All investments carry some degree of risk, as I mentioned before. So you should fully understand what you're getting into. Educate yourself. Read investment and financial publications. I mentioned that earlier about, like the Financial Times and so on and so forth. Get advice. I've been saying that throughout this presentation. A financial advisor, your accountant or tax advisor are all good sources of information to help you understand the choices you are making and what your risks will be. There will be risks when you get involved in investments. So you must do your research. Remember I said test and test and test and check and check and check and check and so on. Some people have not done that and they're really stressed out. And some people have even committed suicide over bad investments that have gone on. So you want to bear those in mind. All right. All right. Next list I have here. Don't buy stocks or other investments pitched to you over the phone. Now that is foolish, isn't it? Come on. Someone over the phone and someone is pressuring you into acting immediately. I remember one day I was a CEO of a company and I was the chief executive officer of the company. I was also the chairman. And someone walked into my office one day and said, Errol, this man is out here selling carpet. It's worth £3,000 and he's only selling it for £800. We've got to buy it. I said, tell the guy to come back in a few days. He said he can't because it's going. I said, tell him to come back in a few days. Because there's no way that I was going to make such a rash decision over £800, supposedly £3,000 worth of carpet, without me doing my test and research. I was never going to do something like that. So I strongly recommend, that you do your due diligence and make absolutely certain that you do not allow people to pressure you into acting immediately. I like to sleep on things. I like to think about it, and I like to run it by other people first before I make certain decision. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I made point of that before. Diversification, distributing your money across different types of investment is the key to sound investing. So you want to be aware of that. Never invest in a product you don't fully understand. Someone has come to you with a product, you don't fully understand what it's all about. Do your due diligence and never ever invest in that product until you've done your research. Finally, re-evaluate your financial plan regularly. Normally, when something changes in your life, if you get married or you divorce, you have a child or you buy a home or you retire, it's always wise to check and recheck and review your financial portfolio at that junction, because it will enable you to actually see exactly where you are and what you need to do to move further. I hope those tips have been useful. I really do appreciate you guys. Welcome, Michael. Welcome, Sonia, Elizabeth, Jillian. Hey, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, I'm going to do a recap in a moment. Just a quick recap because we still got around 12 minutes. But if there are any questions or any comments that anyone has, then I'll be delighted to respond to that. But before I do that, let me just share with you some things that are coming up. If you are a gospel lover of gospel music, then go to gospelradio.me. That's where I am sometimes doing some live shows, and it's really fun actually, and listening to some really good gospel music. When you're in the car, you can listen to it in the car. You can listen to it before you go to bed, while you're sleeping, whatever. But go on down to gospelradio.me. We put it on specifically for you to spread the gospel over the year and to join with the millions of others who are doing the same thing. So bear that in mind if you can. We also have our Power of Praise. We have an evening with Sade Johnson. Power of Praise basically is where members of the church have the opportunity to write their own songs and minister those songs. They're not allowed to minister other people's songs. It has to be their own, or we do not want them to minister on that night. They can minister other times, but Power of Praise is where they minister their own songs that they have written and have been received from the Lord. Right, we also have a baptism coming up. Praise the Lord. I'm looking forward to this. It's the 16th of February. Even if it's one person, I'm going ahead with it and baptize someone in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and soon coming King. So if you want to join us, if you know anybody who wants to be baptized, let me know and we will indeed get that information over to you. And finally, on the announcement side, we have our corporate ladies retreat. Wow, they've actually extended the capacity of the retreat from 250 to 400. 400 women in one place worshiping the Lord. Man, that is something. We need to get our brothers, 400 brothers in one place worshiping the Lord. Thank God for men like T.D. Jakes and others who have been running these conferences and really have been a blessing to the entire nation. And we give God praise for that. So if you are a woman, here's the website, crgop.org.uk. Go on over there and take a look, and you'll be able to book online on the website straight away. All right, let me come back then and do my recap on one of the most amazing topic that I've ever taught in 2020 is on the top 10 financial tips. As I mentioned before, there are more than 10. There are around 50 or so tips, but it's top 10 because I want you to choose your 10 and go and research that and see whether or not they be of use or of benefit to you. Just doing a recap. So if you have any questions or any comments, you can send those to me. I will pick them up on my mobile phone, and I don't see anything on the mobile. And if you want to send me on YouTube or Facebook, then I'll pick it up and indeed address those points. All right, let me spend the next few minutes then recapping on these points. First one, values and visions. I'm not going to go over every point, but I want to pick one or two key points from each slide that I share. You never ever want to go against your values. Whatever your values are what's important to you. I have values that I will never cheat people. That's one of my values. So I will never set a vision that violates that. And I will never violate that. I will never lie to make money. I will never cheat to make money. I will never deceive people to make money. Those are my values. And I have a lot more. And so I will never compromise on those. I will never, even if I'm broke, even if I'm busted and disgusted, even if I have no money to feed my children, I still will not lie. I'll give you an example of something. And I'll call a name here. Bishop Michael Wilson was unemployed once, many, many years ago. I'll tell you the exact year, 1996. I remember it. And he was unemployed, and he went to the job center to sign on. And he came back and stood in front of my desk, and he looked very, distressed and disturbed. And he said to me, all he had to do at the labor exchange was tell one little lie, and he would have got some money to feed his family. And he said he couldn't do it. And today, when I look at that bishop, he's our national overseer of France. He wasn't a bishop at the time. He's now a bishop. He's just doing very, very well. God has blessed him surmountably. And I believe because he didn't tell that lie, God has blessed him. He wasn't able to feed his family that night, but he's able to feed them now. And to God be the glory for that. So make sure you set clear values and visions for your financial freedom. Okay? Prepare for your growing age. Prepare for your future. Okay? Always remember that and bear that in mind. You need to invest in yourself every day. How much videos are you watching? Tapes are you listening to? Conferences are you attending? Books are you reading? All those things increase your value to the marketplace. So make sure you develop your ASK and make sure you become financially literate. Study money. Study how money works. The rich know secrets that the poor don't know. This is an absolute fact. The rich know secrets the poor don't know. As a matter of fact, I am sharing with you tonight the secret of the rich. You know where I got this information from? I got this information from millionaires. These are the people who share these information with me that I'm sharing with you tonight. Welcome, 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 welcome. So I couldn't read. I couldn't see it with my glasses. He says, Raymond says, amen. All right. Save and invest. Now, this first point on the board, first tip on the board, is worth more than £10,000. And I kid you not. Pay yourself at least 10% of what you earn. I kid you not. Pay yourself. Don't just pay your taxes to the government. Don't just pay your tithe to the church. Don't just pay your to the utility companies. Don't just pay whatever utilities and bills you have to pay. Pay yourself. Pay yourself 10%. Put it into a separate account. Make sure you have a separate account. Now, take advice from a financial advisor. Set up a separate account and put that 10% direct debit or whatever you call it into that. So it doesn't affect you. So you're building that up and it's for your future. That is the start of a seed for your business. That is an amazing tip I received from a millionaire. And it's just amazing. I hope you're hearing me. Anyway, let me move on. Control and manage your investment. This tip, the first one on the board there, that's also worth I think this is worth more than 10,000. I think if I was paying you for this course tonight, I think you should pay me at least £10,000, maybe 20, for the information I'm giving. Never spend more than you earn. I'm sure you've heard that before. And most people spend more than they earn. So foolish. Delay your gratification. All right, let's move on. Rule number 1. This one is worth 10,000 as well, I think. Never lose money. And rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. What is rule number 1? Never lose money. All right, so never put all your eggs in one basket. That is not a wise thing to do, to put all your eggs in one basket. Because if that basket disappears, we have seen that. We have seen, for example, a bank disappeared. Let's say you got 10 million, that's all you have, and you put all 10 million in this account, and all of a sudden the company goes bust. Then what happens to you? Are you with me? At least if you had put 5 million over the other place, at least you still got 5 million. You lost 5 million, and you give God thanks for the 5 you still got left. But if you lose all 10, then it's not wisdom. So make sure you overprotect and guard against destruction. This is a principle most people don't think about financially, is giving, sharing with others. The secret of living is giving. Jesus made this so clear. And I love this statement. It is more blessed to give than to receive. It's more blessed to give than to receive. And I love the example I gave earlier of Mr. Hilton, how his 3 principles were: make as much money as possible, give away as much money as possible, and enjoy yourself as much as possible. I think that's a great principle. Make as much money as possible, give away as much money as possible, and enjoy yourself as much as possible. Nothing wrong with that. Always remember, think enterprisingly. You must run your own business. You are a business. It's a given. You are a business. It doesn't matter how you look at it. You are a business. You are a business. That's right. I shared with you before. Let me see if I can find where I shared with you before. Let me just go back to that now. And I will bring that up to you in just around 10 seconds time. There we are. You are a business. The 4 functions of a business are managing people, managing activities, managing information, managing resources. The only difference between you and McDonald's or Marks and Spencer is size. Size. S-I-Z-E, size. So you need to operate like a business because you are a business. All right. Am I making sense? You are a business. All right. Perfect. Now, I shared with you some types of investments, and as my strongest point here is this: seek advice from those whose activity is dealing with these things every single day. Seek advice about stocks, about bonds, about mutual funds, about shares. All right, get advice. I mentioned also before about the checklist, investors checklist. Shop around, ask questions, educate yourself, get advice. All right. There are lots of people around that want to give you advice. You can go on YouTube, you can go to a financial advisor, financial planner, and so on. You know, I was talking to a lady once in my home. We were in the kitchen, we were talking, and I was sharing these principles with her. I was just talking and sharing these principles with her. And all of a sudden, she didn't even say anything to me. She just walked out of the house. I couldn't understand it. She just gone. Later on, several hours later, she came back. I said, "What happened?" She said, "Something that you said touched me," and I had to go and sort it out immediately. So she said she had a lot of property that she had neglected, and a lot of things she was doing that she had neglected. And she just realized something and shut out of my house to go and sort it out and come back. I thought, well, I'll forgive you for just walking out of me like that. Anyway, finally, don't buy stocks or other investment pitched at you over the phone. Don't let people pressure you. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I've said that several times. Never invest in a product you don't fully understand. Make sure you understand it. And finally, reevaluate your financial plan very regularly, especially when things in your life change at major milestones. Make sure you review. Well, thank you all so very much. Let me just see if I can read something over there at YouTube and see if I can come on to right. Okay, I could do this, couldn't I? Right, so how do I do that now? Praise the Lord. Right, let me bring up some pointers here. And Claudie says, thanks, Pastor Errol, for sharing your knowledge with us. Top quality tip. Oh, thank you, Claudie B. You're more than welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you very much for being here. What happened there? Why did it go away? Okay, let's bring it back and let's bring back my picture. Raymond, great to see you, sir, and keep up what you're doing, okay? Don't stop. Don't let nothing distract you. Stay focused, okay? Let me say it again. Stay focused. Stay focused. Don't stop what you're doing. But however, make sure you're running at the pace that you can keep up. That's key, okay? I hope you understand what I'm saying. If you don't understand, call me and I'll tell you. Thanks for the tips. We'll take them on board. Maria B, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thanks for the tips. We'll take them on board. You're more than welcome. Michael Simpson says, good evening, Pastor. Greetings to you, Mike. And Brother Mike, thank you also for your help today. You don't know how much it's appreciated. You probably don't know, but it's greatly appreciated. And is that that's Fazu Benjamin? Welcome, sir. Thank you so much, and blessings to you all. All right, let me see if there's anything going on over. Elizabeth said good tips. Good tips. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thanks everyone for coming by. It's now 10:34, and I am so thankful to you guys. Let me see now, Raymond. There's a point here. Why did Jesus say, "Why are you bothering me? My time has not come yet"? Remind me of that scripture, Brother Mike. Remind me of that scripture if you can, and I will have a look at that. I will stay as long as you guys want, you know. Now, yeah. Okay. Oh. All right. Okay. Right. Remind me of that scripture, Brother Mike. And let me have a quick look. Why did Jesus say, my time has not yet come? I think I remember the situation, but I need to look at that, and then we could. I like that, Michael. Michael said it's in John. Let me see if I could find that scripture. Jesus, my time has not come. I think it's let me try John 7 verse 6. I think it might be that. John chapter 7 and verse 6. Yes, that's the one here. So let's just look at that in context, and let's see. After these things, Jesus walked in Galilee, for he would not walk in Jewry, because the Jews sought to kill him. Now the Jews' feast of tabernacle was at hand. His brethren therefore said unto him, depart hence and go into Judea, that thy disciples also may see the works that thou doest. Verse 4. For there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. For neither did his brethren believe in him. Then Jesus said unto him, my time is not yet come, but your time is always ready. And then he says, let's read a little bit more. Okay, I think I've got enough information. My time is not yet come. All right, that's the comment here. All right, let me give you my take on that, Brother Mike. Okay. When you think about what Jesus had come to do, Jesus had come to die on a cross to save our sins. That was his primary purpose for being here, was to come to redeem us. He is known as the Messiah. That's the term used in the Hebrew language, and Christ in the Greek. And so he is the Messiah, the anointed one, the chosen one that would come and be a lamb slaughtered and die for us. And Jesus is indicating that his time had not yet come to show himself to the world. If you notice what they said, for there is no man, look at verse 4, for there is no man that doeth anything in secret, and he himself seeketh to be known openly. If thou do these things, show thyself to the world. That was the point that they were getting at. Show thyself to the world. And Jesus said, my time has not yet come. It's not time yet to show myself to the world in the way in which it will be done, and so on. Now, the world at that time was the world in which he lived, all right? And so Jesus was born to die for our sins. He would be the sacrifice. He would be the lamb. And so these folks that were talking to him wanted him to do these things that he's doing, so it could be seen, it could be shown. It was for show. Jesus said, my time has not yet come. It's not time yet. And I think the scripture says, when the time, when the I forget how it puts it, when the time had fully come, something happened. So his time had not yet come to die on the cross and in the way that he would do. Because the thing about it is that two things I would say. I think about this one thing I want to make here is, be careful. This is a thought that's coming to me. Be careful for doing things for show, for doing things so that people will see and recognize. Jesus said, you have your reward. Your reward is people see it and they praise you and they acknowledge you for that. But we should make sure we do things so that it's done in secret. And Jesus said, your Father that see it in secret will reward you openly. And so that's a thought that comes to me. And the second thing I want to say is, in regards to that, is that Jesus purpose here, one of his central purpose, was to show himself to the world on a cross, and that he would die openly, publicly, the most cruel death known to us. And it is a sad thing when the world rejects his dying for the world. But thank God for those of us who have acknowledged his death on the cross and have accepted it into our lives so that we can be like him. I hope that answers your question. And I think, it's interesting that they say, if thou do these things, show thyself to the world. Isn't that the way of the world? Do we just want to show ourselves to the world? No, we want God to see us. We want God to recognize us, and we want to humble ourselves to that. Right. Let me check if there are anything else that anyone is sharing with me, and if not, then I'm going to close it out at this juncture. Once again, I want to say thanks to all of you for joining me tonight. I hope these tips that were shared with you tonight was of benefit, and that at least there's something there that you can use for your own benefit and so on. So I hope that at least 10 tips was there that you could probably use, or if not, one of them was worth 10,000. Remember I said that? Another one, 10,000, another one, 10,000, and so on. That's just my value put on those points. If I was to leave you one tip tonight, what would that be? Let me choose one. And this is a really good one to close out on. And I mentioned that in the slides, and I'm going to bring that particular slide up, and I think that it's a really good one. And if you adhere to this one, then I think that you will find yourself in a great advantage. So I'm going to bring up that slide in a moment and just share with you which one it is. I just have to make absolutely certain that I find the right one. Right. This is a slide I want to share with you. And it's the first one at the top. If I was to leave you one, you don't need a financial advisor to advise you on this one. This particular one here will bring you much value if you obey it. And the tip is this. The tip is this. Pay yourself at least 10% of whatever you earn. Always pay yourself. Remember, when you pay yourself, you're not paying yourself for a rainy day. You're not putting aside the 10% for a holiday. You're not putting it aside for any challenges or problems that may come later. You're putting it aside for your old age and for your children's children. Pay yourself at least 10% of what you earn, and let that seed grow. Think about investment opportunities, and it will come. Investment opportunities will come your way that will enable you to make the right decisions. I hope that makes sense. I want to say thank you all very much. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Really do. And I hope that these tips again has been of great value and benefit to you all. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic week. I'm looking forward, actually. I didn't announce this. I'm so disappointed that I didn't. I don't know where I can find the link for that. Let me see if I can find one. But we have our National Day of Prayer and Fasting yes, here we are. Let's put this up. I think that yes, we have a corporate day of prayer and fasting, and it's on Saturday in 2 days' time, right? Well, a day and a half now. The 25th of January 2020, Aberdeen Street, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Man, I'm looking forward to that with great excitement. Our presiding bishop will be leading us, and I'm looking forward to it. We got a coach going down. I'm looking forward to that. And come and join us. Come and join us. It won't be streamed. If you're not doing anything on Saturday of that great importance, find your way in Aberdeen Street. By rights, really, we should fill that place to capacity by rights. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope all the brethren in Birmingham will support it, and those around the country also. Well, take care of yourself and your family. Until next time. Bye for now.